Welcome to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Badass Direct Sales Mastery is a podcast for rock star direct sales moms who are determined to make their business kick ass. Jennie will share her knowledge of effective sales and recruiting techniques, tips to get what you want from your business, and will interview direct sales professionals and leaders from various companies. The interviews will give insight to how these rock stars got to where they are and where they plan to grow in the future. And now, the direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger.
Welcome back to another episode of Badass Direct Sales Mastery. I'm your host, your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger, helping you whip your business into shape. And today I have with me Leslie Fiorenzo. Now, Leslie and I met on JV Connect with Michael Whitehouse, and I'm sure many of you already listened to that episode with Michael because he is the guy who knows a guy. And Leslie and I connected pretty quickly because what she does is she is a public speaking expert. And well, y'all know I do public speaking. So I absolutely wanted to connect with her. And we had a fabulous conversation. And I knew that I had to bring her on the show so that you could hear the wonderful information that she has to share with you. So let me tell you a little bit more about Leslie, and we'll bring her in for the conversation. So after failing to win the top prize in a speech contest early in her career, Leslie began her journey towards excellence in public speaking. Her unique approach comes from over 30 years spent in corporate HR environments. Ooh, I know some of us can relate to that. Using the skills she now teaches. Leslie has achieved a number of certifications and a master's degree in human resource development. She is the author of 21 Lessons to Master the Difficult Conversation and the bestseller, Find Your Voice, Conquer Your Fear, and Share Your Story with Confidence. Both are available on Amazon. Leslie, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jennie. I'm so thrilled to be here.
Oh my gosh. So, Leslie, it sounds like, not for you, it was you failed to win the top prize. And that was enough for you to go, nope, that's it. I'm going to go study this. But for a lot of people, public speaking, it isn't about the top prize. It's about getting up and opening their mouth in the first place. Right? So,
Well,
how did you go from being able to open your mouth in front of a group of people and have words tumble out to be driven to wanting the top prize?
Well, it was a contest. I belong to a women's organization and I was encouraged to participate. They offered some courses on helping people be better speakers. And my mentor, who was the teacher of the course, she said, well, you should apply. And in my head, Jennie, because she said you should apply, I thought that meant she was certain that I would knock it out of the park and I would win. And it was a $100 prize, which back in the early 80s, that was kind of a nice deal, right?
Yeah.
Even today, $100 is still $100, right? But anyway, I was extremely disappointed and that I didn't even place in the top 5. But luckily, I had a great mentor in this woman, and she took me aside after the fact and just pointed some things out and gave me some coaching on what to do and how to improve and where I should go and what to do next. And so I followed her advice. Plus, I took a job shortly thereafter where speaking was a large part, educating employees and managers and leaders in how to use an employee assistance program was what I did almost every day, day in and day out. So it helped me build my skills.
Absolutely. Well, and I recognized in high school that public speaking was something adults had to do because both of my parents had to do public speaking from time to time. My father was a physician and my mom was a stay-at-home mom, but she ended up as in the leadership team for the Officers' Wives Club at a couple of different Air Force bases where we lived. And so she had to get up and speak in front of other people. And I recognized this and I thought, well, first of all, as kids, we think that whatever we experience is what everybody else is experiencing. Right. So I was like, well, adults have to speak.
Mhm.
So I better figure this out. And so I chose to sign up for a speech class in high school.
Ah,
And then I
that's great.
signed up for speech team in high
Ooh,
school because I was like, then I get to practice it. Right.
yes, yes.
Now I didn't do the writing of the speeches. I read speeches written by other people. Memorized, performed speeches written by other people. But it was very helpful, but not everybody obviously had that thought that as an
Mhm.
adult, I'm going to have to speak in front of other people. So you've now been working with people for many years. You've literally written books on conquering the public speaking fear. Can we start with like, where does that fear come from? Why is it that it is so paralyzing for some people and for others like me, I'm like energized by the energy. But let's talk about the fear.
Sure. So can come from a couple of places because there's two fears that we're born with, and that's the fear of falling from high places
Okay.
and the fear of loud noises. Everything else is learned. So people have learned this at some point, and it might have been from a well-meaning adult who said, you're not good at this. Or my mother was terrified. I remember her saying to me, because I tried out for a play in 8th grade at our civic theater, at a
Mhm.
community theater. And she was like, why would you want to get on stage in front of she just did not understand my motivation for doing this because it terrified her. Now, my
Yeah.
dad was in sales and he talked to people all day long, every day, all day. But I knew that I had to get better at it in my job. I can remember I am distracted. I'm not answering your question. Fear. Let's go back to fear.
Sure.
So we think of it often as the opportunity to be judged. We don't want to be judged. We don't want people to make fun of us. So if it goes back to an event that happened early in our lives, maybe elementary school, you're in a spelling bee, you're you're earning your way to the top of that spelling bee and you spell a word wrong. You're out, right? Kids laugh at you. Or you're giving a book report in middle school or even high school and you get sniggered at, right? And it maybe it's not even anything to do with you, but you don't know that when you're standing in front of the group. So that fear can come from that. It also can harken back to times when we were in small tribes on the savannah, so to speak. So hundreds of thousands of years ago, early peoples were fighting for their lives every day. Our brain's job was to keep us safe. And so those eyes of the audience, our brain thinks are like the eyes of that warring tribe or that animal that's going to eat us for dinner, peering out from the bushes. And when we have a bunch of people staring at us, our brain can go, no, this isn't safe. You need to duck and cover. Well, we don't have to duck and cover typically, but we
Right.
haven't quite caught up evolution wise.
Hmm.
So anyway, fear is a real thing. However, it's often based on an inaccurate story. So when we tell ourselves, I can't do something, and I'm sure you've worked with people on your team that say to you, well, how am I ever going to do this? How am I going to talk to people about this? I love this product, but how am I going to do this? Right? They're telling themselves a story that they can't. So what
Right.
we need to do is change the story, change the neural pathways in our brain to create a new story. Now,
Yes.
it sounds really simple,
I was going
and
to
it
say that
is.
sounds
It's
so
not easy.
simple, Leslie.
Well, you've heard, maybe people have heard Seinfeld's shtick about if you're asked to give the eulogy at the funeral, you'd rather be in the casket because public speaking is a bigger fear than dying.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and,
Yes.
and it's
Exactly.
unfortunate. But the good news is, if people are willing to do some work, they can overcome it.
Mm. Yeah. So let's let's discuss that. Like, what have you found when you've been working with some of your clients in overcoming their fears? What is something, maybe a unique way? Let's go down that path. What is a unique way that you have found helps some of your clients begin to shift that mindset or retell that story? How, what's a unique way that you've done that with your other clients before?
Well, I adopt Nike's catchphrase, just do it. So let's sign up. Let's figure out who your audience is. First of all, who do you need to be speaking with? And even if you're in a corporate setting, maybe volunteering to lead the team meeting or share the team story at the company-wide event. But where can we get you in front of people, and how can it be that baptism by fire, so to speak? So how can you step in and learn by doing? Because it's oftentimes people see the worst happening. So we want to see the best happening. So it's getting a different image in your head. It's telling yourself a different story that you can do this. But once you have the experience and you don't die, I mean, I don't know if anybody's really died from public speaking. I suppose in the whole scheme of things, that's a possibility, but I doubt it.
Right.
Yeah, you can tell your brain, look, brain, I've got this. I did it, and I can do it again, and it's okay. And I know your job is, I'm a big believer in having conversations with myself.
Yeah.
So I know you think you're keeping me safe, but your method isn't helpful. What I need you to do instead is encourage me and help me put myself out there. So having a plan, but it's really, I believe, doing it, because we can find all kinds of excuses and all kinds of reasons to not do something that's scary for us.
Yeah.
Find reasons why you want to do, why you want to step in. And then you begin to tell yourself a different story. You're creating new connections in your brain that says, I can do this. I've got it handled.
Yeah. I I love that because, in many other cases, when I've talked to other experts about, not about public speaking necessarily, but about the fears that come with it and how people handle it. Normally they talk about the physiological piece, but I love that conversation with your brain saying, here, the way you're doing it isn't helping. Here's what I want you to do instead. Like, giving it the replacement thought pattern, giving it the words that you want it to repeat back to you. That's freaking brilliant. Ah,
Well,
I love that so
when you
much.
talk about the physiology, that's an important piece too, because helping people understand that fear and excitement show up the same exact way,
Yeah.
and reframing it into excitement. So one of my clients is a big roller coaster fan. So we talked about how she feels when she's standing on that platform, waiting for the gate to open, waiting to get on that ride, all that anticipation, all the sweaty palms, the racing heart, the shallow breathing. When you're in front of an audience can happen too. Just reframe it as excitement. I'm thrilled to be here. This is going to be amazing. I can't wait to get to the top of that ride and then whoosh down or whatever. I'm not a
Yeah.
roller coaster fan. I can only imagine.
Well, or something as simple as, a first date.
There you go.
Or, going and meeting a new person in business. You're going to have your first coffee conversation with another business person who you believe could be influential with their audience or their network. That that's a similar feeling, right? And many of us get excited in those situations, and other people who are having the exact same body sensations choose to call it terror. Right?
Well, and it is a choice. It
Yeah.
is a choice about how you view it, what you say to yourself about it. The physiology is not a choice. It happens, right? Our body's going to
Mhm.
respond.
Right.
But it's the the conversation we have in our head and how we choose to look at it is what's going to make the difference.
Ah, so true. Now, when you've been working with people, what are some of the amazing transformations that you've seen happen with your speaking clients? They went from not being able to speak in front of two people at a company meeting to whatever.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
what is one of the stories of one of your clients that you were so incredibly proud of or excited to share?
Well, one of my favorites is a person that came to me because their franchise company continued to ask them. They were a very successful franchise owner, and the company kept saying, "Come speak at the conference," and they were terrified. No, I'm not going to speak at the conference. And so they were introduced to me through a mutual connection, and we worked together. And so they got to the point where they could say yes to speak at that conference. And so that is so cool to share, because if you have a franchise business and you're successful in that business, probably very similar to your people, if
Yeah,
they are in the network marketing and selling a lot and being successful, what are your tips? What are your tricks? What did you do? I want to know that, so I can replicate it in my own life. And that's what the franchisor wanted this person to talk about. And so they finally did. So that was so exciting to be able to work with them so they could say yes to that opportunity and make themselves look good, but make their franchisor look good.
absolutely. Because I was going to say, it's not just about the saying yes. Yes, that's the first win, but it's the fact that that person then went through with it
Yes.
and didn't die on stage. And in fact, I'd be curious to know like what kind of feedback they got from other franchisees who saw them on stage, you know?
That's part of the story I don't know. Um,
Ooh, that
yeah,
I would recommend you go get that
yeah,
information because
yeah,
I think that's a really important piece that not only did they survive it, which is again another win. They said yes, they did it, they didn't die, and then here's the results that came from
yeah.
that that opportunity, right? Because then they really became seen as more influential even within their own franchise.
Right.
And
Within that community.
probably that created, my guess is it probably creates more opportunity for them. Just you never know. Like somebody goes, you know what, man, I'm not cut out for this. And maybe they got to buy another franchise. I don't know. But
Exactly.
there's all kinds of potentials there. So I would check into that because I think that's a really important piece. Because when I'm able to, share with people, I do a lot of public speaking and I have for literally 30 years now been doing public speaking in front of other people. And it's been everything from public speaking in front of five people to public speaking in front of hundreds of people.
Yeah.
I'm working on the thousands, but in front of
Good for you.
hundreds of people
Yeah.
to be able to, my podcast is in front of a bunch of people, but they're all individuals. And I really don't know how many. And they're not here staring at me, like you said, with those eyes, because that was also a big aha moment for me is the connection between our brain thinking those eyes staring at us are predators.
Yes.
Like that makes so much sense that our limbic system looks at that and goes, threat.
Yes. Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
um but I think ultimately it comes down to when I go and do those public speaking gigs, the connections I make,
Hmm.
the practice that I get in doing it,
Yeah.
the lives that I get to change, the people who come to me later and go, because you taught me this is what happened in my life.
Yes.
Huge. It makes getting up on stage worth it because do I feel the nerves before every speaking gig?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a little bit of, oh, I really want to serve well. And that's a good thing, right? Because we
Yes.
care.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Because we care.
Oh my gosh. So I know that lots of people in network marketing are like, okay, this sounds great. And that
Yeah.
can't be all there is. So I know that you have a blueprint that
Mhm.
has 5 tips to help people with their public speaking anxiety. Can you tell us about it so that way somebody who may be interested in working on their public speaking can learn more
Sure.
to decide if this would be helpful for them?
Yeah. So we talked about the reframe.
Hmm.
So it talks about how to reframe. It encourages you to take just basically do it and see where it is, like who is your audience? Where do they show up? How can you find them? What do you need to be saying? And so the other thing I always tell people is have a plan before you step out in front of the audience that will keep you centered and keep you focused. I call it the pre-presentation plan. So P. No, that's not always great on microphone, but what is it that I'm going to do in the 5 minutes before? So, probably a power pose, usually a mantra, maybe a breathing exercise, maybe it's some jumping jacks to get myself just again, it's about bringing the energy and the calm and the focus. So, whatever works, and not everything works for everyone, but making a choice about that and thinking about as you construct your presentation, start with 2 things: your opening line and your closing line. And when
Mm.
you can really capture those and get people interested from the very beginning and a strong call to action at the end, you can fill in the other. That's the hardest work of creating a presentation is what am I going to say? And please avoid starting with thank you, avoid starting with a comment about the weather, and avoid a joke that doesn't fit.
Hmm. Yes, absolutely. My most recent public speaking event that I did, um, I ended up starting with my own story, and I went with the the emotional part of it, and the hook was there I was laying on my bed with my sister, sobbing while she stroked my hair. Right? Like,
Right. You've just created like what happened? I want to know more. And you created an image
mhm.
of some, I mean, you've that's what you want to do is create and evoke an emotion because facts tell, but stories sell.
Yeah,
So
they do.
every time you make a point, have a story to back it up and never make a point without a story and never tell a story without a point.
Ooh. That right there is a fantastic takeaway. I love that. Oh my gosh. This amazing. No, but seriously, I mean
Yeah.
that hook, that story really brings people in because I really truly feel like once people know how I got to the point of why I was sobbing and where it came from and what has happened since then, because this was something that happened in my early 20s. Um, People then begin to understand, okay, she's been there. The purpose of me sharing it was, oh, she's been where I am or where I was, and I'm working through it, and she's now the beacon for what could be.
Hmm.
Right. And
Yes.
that's really where that came from, was doing that. But again, it comes from the fact that I've been practicing public speaking, and I had been doing other people's speeches for the first 2 years that I was doing public speaking. So I had an idea of what hooks bring people in, and that made it
Yes.
really easy. Now I just got to figure out how I'm going to wrap that sucker because I
Well,
don't.
and I would say it's with one call to action. The
Yeah.
question you need to answer in your head is what's the one thing you want somebody to do as a result of listening to you? So is
Ooh.
it book a call? Is it download my free offer? Is it connect with me on social? What is it? Don't give me more than one because
Right.
a confused mind will not do anything. It'll just like, what did she want me to do? Huh? What was that? So just one thing
Hmm.
and then leave it.
Agreed. Yes. That is fantastic. Okay, I already know what I'm gonna do because, well, I don't want to give away anything in case I end up doing this talk in front of my listeners at some point, because my goal is to go tell this story and share this in front of people at network marketing conventions. I want to
Yes.
speak at network marketing conventions. Yes, I want to stand in a football stadium with thousands of
Yeah.
people looking at me, sharing my story so that they can connect with, learn from, and do the thing that I'm going to be asking them to do for themselves,
For themselves. Yeah.
not for me. I know what my call to action is now. I love it. Oh my God. It's so good. Okay. Thank you. Let's look at this. Did anybody else have their own like aha moment for their what they're going to do? Because the the cool thing for network marketers, especially those who are in the party plan, so they're doing demos, they're doing
Right.
demonstrations, they're doing the in-home parties, or maybe you're doing a virtual party or virtual presentation. Starting that demo with a hook,
Yes.
ending the demo with one call to action, you
I
know.
mean, it's place your order, right?
Right.
Fill out your order form
Right.
or sign up to be on my team, one or the other. But usually if I've placed an order, then I'm going to talk to somebody about the opportunity. At least that's what I've
Yeah,
had happen.
exactly. Right. It's I really agree. It is ask for the sale, right?
Yeah.
Ask for the order on behalf of the hostess who's going to
Yes.
benefit, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Um, and really and honestly, when you're thinking about it from a sales perspective, they're all three benefiting. The person who's ordering is getting something that they want.
Yeah.
The hostess is then also getting something that she wants. And you, as the rep, then also get something that you want. A new customer, a happy hostess, some money. Like, oh, it's a no-brainer. But
Yeah.
I digress. So you have this fearless speaker blueprint, correct?
Yes.
Wonderful. And so how well, we're going to put the link down in the show notes because I'm going to be honest, people, because I like to be transparent, badass crew. It's an affiliate link. If you go download this and then you decide that Leslie is your person, she's going to thank me with a little thank you, something, something.
Yes.
And that's a good thing, right?
Yes, it
Because
is.
I don't teach public speaking. I don't want to teach public speaking, but you can. So,
Yeah.
but it starts with checking out the book, The Fearless Speaker Blueprint, 5 tips regarding public speaking and helping them overcome that anxiety. So I love this. So,
Awesome.
badass crew, you already know how to get to the link. But just in case this is your very first time ever listening to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery podcast, all you have to do to grab that link is grab your phone, as long as you're not driving, or if you're watching on YouTube, scroll under the video there in the description or down under Leslie's beautiful picture. You're going to find the episode notes or show notes, depending on which app you're in, and you will see in bold lettering Fearless Speaker Blueprint, and then the link where you can go download that and grab that at no charge to you. So, thank you so much, Leslie, for being here. I really feel like there is some powerful things here for network marketers to help them move forward with their public speaking. Thank you so very much.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. And I think there's probably very few industry, or there's no better industry for people to improve their public speaking skills than network marketing. I mean, it's certainly something that they've got to capitalize on and got to know how to do in order to grow their business.
Right. Absolutely. It's imperative. It really is. If people don't know who you are and what you do, and they're not going to know until you open your mouth,
Yeah.
you're not going to go very far in the world of business. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
My
This has
pleasure.
been so eye-opening. Yes, even for me, who has been doing public speaking for 30 years, people. Holy crap, I can't believe I'm saying that. But
Yeah.
it's so true. It's so true. Leslie, you are amazing. And of course, how would you like our badass crew to reach out to you if they decide that they want more from you?
Well, there on my website is probably the easiest way. That's the place they're going to go to download the tip sheet. But then there's a link if they want to book a call. They have a no obligation, complimentary conversation to see what I can do for them, if anything.
Love it. All right. And her website is lesliefiorenzo.com. Now, if you're worried about spelling it, don't worry. Go to the show notes. Click on the link. You can't mess it up if you just click the link. It's very simple, people. I'm telling you. So this has been fantastic. Leslie, I'm sure we're going to have another talk again in the future because there's so much more to public speaking than just the fear and overcoming the fear. And, some of it is just knowing the process better. And you've opened people's eyes to that. So thank you for being here. I appreciate you.
Thanks for the invitation.
Absolutely. And Badass Crew, you know how this goes. Stay tuned because there's another badass episode on its way.
Thanks for listening to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Why are you waiting to go to badassdirectsalesmastery.com? Don't make the dom get her whip. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with another rock star that you know in direct sales after you subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss any future episodes. You can also check out the show notes for links and any contact information mentioned in today's episode. We'll see you next time.